tired to driving from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living, rise again. You are more than just a pain. Confident, bold, unashamed. Your discovery coach, remember the name. You're strong, you're seen, you're free to dream. YDC, 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 remember the name. Hey mama, you're more than enough. Hey mama, stand tall, you've given so much. You gave your all, now it's time to shine. You've been in the shadows, now step in the light. Rediscover your voice, take back your name. You're not just a mom, your power, your flame. From tired to thriving, from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living.
Hello, good afternoon, and Merry Christmas. It was Christmas Day yesterday, and we're going to be just a short one. Like I said, all the lives towards this holiday period are going to be very short, just because I understand people are out and about and enjoying themselves. I had so much food yesterday. Please tell me what you had yesterday in the comment section. I indulged a little bit. After all, is the birth of my savior, right? I am allowed to indulge. So thank you so much once again for joining me on another Friday Live. I don't take your time for granted. I don't take your signing in for granted. I don't take anything for granted. And I'm so grateful to be here on another Friday. It's been a very wonderful week for us here in my own home. I don't know how it has been. Oh, only work for you. Oh, so sorry. I know you live in a country where Christmas is not celebrated, but see, Christmas has been great. And it hasn't been great just because, I've been doing everything. It's been great because I've spent time with my family. I've spent time with my kids. I've, bonded with them. And it's not in the expensive things. Even the gifts that we got for them were not that crazy. We didn't go crazy, but Christmas is what the meaning you give to it. You don't have to spend so much. You don't have to overdo it just to have a good time. So tell me in the comment section, if you don't mind, how was your Christmas? How did you spend it? What did you do? What happened, in your own space? Did you rest? Because that's another important thing. The Christmas is not just about us, cooking all day and doing all that. Did you rest? Did you sleep? Did you have time, to read a book? Did you do things that you normally wouldn't do on a work week, or when the kids are in school? Did you bond with them? Those are questions that I feel like are important for Christmas. But anyway, that's not our topic for today. Thank you once again, and this is Debbie, your discovery coach, on your another Friday Live. For the next 30 minutes, we will just be looking at when you keep showing up but something important is still missing. When you keep showing up but something important is still missing. So last week we talked about holidays and how it can expose your growth. It can expose expose you in a way, because you're around people who you probably haven't seen in a couple of months or in a couple of years. You're around family who don't understand your growth. They don't understand the journey that you've been on. They don't understand that you're doing all this inner work, and then they're like, they question your decision, they question your parenting, they question your choice, they question the boundaries. I was reading something last week that was very interesting, and the person said, you see, when you come around people who've known you before and they say you're no longer respectful, or you no longer have respect, or you no longer, you're not, well, that's the word, respect. It's usually because, as the person said, it's usually because you have learned how to keep boundaries, especially for us who grew up in Nigeria or grew up in Africa. Boundaries is not something that we were taught. I remember so well, my mom would just walk into the room and say, "This is my house. I have a right to be in this room." And I'm like, okay, but I was dressing up. A little bit of a cock on the door would have helped, But she's like, what are you confused? So boundaries was not something we're taught. So when you start to learn boundaries as an adult, when you start to learn boundaries as the woman that you're becoming, and then someone else says you no longer have respect, oh, you don't have our time anymore, they start to make little comments like, oh, you don't have our time, oh, you've changed. That you have changed is not because you have changed, really. It's just because you have learned to say yes, and you have also learned to say no. You have learned to create boundaries around yourself. So, you're around these family members, you're around your uncles, you're around your aunties, you're around grandpa, grandma, and all that. And then they start to question you. Say this gentle parenting that you're doing, or this one that you're not, shouting at the kids. Just something that it is that you have built over the year. And then during Christmas, somebody now decides, to question you. You keep showing up, but something else, something important is still missing. So it's not even about, the tone of voice. It's not because they are shouting. It's not because they are aggressive. It's not because it's, and it's usually comes in the place of, it usually comes as a sense of, oh, I'm just concerned about you. I'm concerned about how you're doing things. And then the conversation ends. But then you start to feel it. You start to doubt, or you start to question, your decisions. You question your life, your life decisions, your tight chestings. You're wondering, why am I having this conversation with this person? Why can't I stand up to myself? Why can't I, stay with what I believe? Why can't I, fend for myself? Why can't I defend my believing, right? And then your thoughts start to speed up. You start to ask yourself questions. You start to say, oh, if I had known, I would have said this. You start to rehearse what you have said in your head. And then you question yourself, oh, I should have said this here. I should have said this. I shouldn't have said this here. And then you start to explaining to yourself, explaining to them. You're not you really, coming across as the confident lady that, you have been building yourself to be. You say more than what is necessary for you to say. You're not feeling, you're not feeling coordinated just because, somebody has questioned you, and then you soften something you were actually sure about. So you have a conviction that, okay, this way of doing things no longer, works for us. So I decided that I'm no longer be doing things this way. I decided that I'm not going to give my time, for free. I'm not going to give my time indiscriminately. I'm going to, protect my boundaries. I'm going to be able to say no, say yes. And then one auntie says, what are you even feeling like? And then you're questioning what you were actually sure about. You're sure that, creating boundaries is good. You're sure that rest doesn't need to be earned, but you start to question. And in your mind, you replay it over and over again, and over and over again. In that moment, confidence is not general, and confidence is general. It's just something you have learnt in your head, but you haven't lived it as an experience. So boundaries are now, in theory. You've not yet mastered the act of saying, oh, wait, I don't want to talk about this right now, or this is how I have decided to do things. So you're now judging yourself. You're now questioning yourself. You now start telling yourself things like, I should have stopped talking. Oh, I don't even know why I need to explain. There's an internal battle inside of you, because confidence is not something you have practiced enough. So in that moment, you feel your world crumbling, but you don't understand how to, stand and defend what it is that you believe. What you think is happening to you at the time is that you start to think to yourself, oh, I wasn't prepared enough. Hello, Mr. Eddie. I can see you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. You start to say things like, I wasn't prepared enough. They know me better. They know more than me. You start to, crumble in that knowledge. Okay, you start to say to yourself, oh, maybe this auntie actually knows what she's saying, or maybe this person actually knows what they are saying. And then you crumble. And then you would have, you're thinking to yourself, I should have said it better. I need to be more confident. But the real issue is not all these things that you're saying. That's not the real issue. The real issue is that you didn't lose your words. You didn't lose your voice because you lack words. You didn't explain because you were wrong. You didn't freeze because they were superior. And I want you to hear me clearly. It's something else that has happened first before all these things. See, these are the aftermaths. These are the symptoms. These are the things that happen just because of what I'm about to explain. So here's what's actually happening. in that moment, your body hands over authority to whoever sounds more certain. So you walk into a room, there are people talking, and then some people are talking because they've had 10 years of experience, maybe in a particular field or in a particular area or in a particular topic. And then they start to talk, but you just started. You're just starting off. You're maybe 1 year a baker or 6 months a baker, and then experienced bakers are in the room and they're talking about decoration. They're talking about, colors to use. They're talking about type of fondant. They're talking about icing, and then you're just there. The reason you can shrink in that kind of situation is because your body is submitting authority to whoever sounds more confident or more certain. So what your body needs, what your body is actually facing is, I need safety. So if I'm not finding safety with you, I would hand over authority to someone who feels more confident than me. And it's not because the people are always right. It's because certainty feels like safety to your nervous system. So when you come into a room and it feels like, you see, it's a lot of times, even people who don't know anything, when they turn up and they're talking with so much confidence, they're talking with so much, I know what I'm talking about. It's easy to just, decide, let me just keep quiet here. This person knows, because even confidence can be faked. We all know that. We all know that it's possible for the person to not actually know what they're saying, but their confidence opens doors for them. And that's the thing. Our body will like to feel that safety. So when we come into a space, when we come into a room, right? And as somebody that feels like somebody knows better than us, somebody knows more than us, somebody is, more knowledgeable than us, our sense, there's a sense of, let me just submit to this person. So it's not because you haven't actually been working on yourself. Something else has happened to you in that room. If you grew up in a space where authority was not questioned, disagreement had consequences, being wrong meant correction or shame, so you can't be wrong. Even when your parents were wrong, they never told you sorry. They just said, have you eaten? 2 minutes later, they've asked you, have you eaten? They've never really apologized. They've never really said you're sorry. So you don't understand where all this, your body doesn't understand that language. And then instead of saying the truth, you rather keep quiet because peace mattered more than truth. So when you come into a room or you come into a space and someone speaks confidently, your body reacts before your mind thinks. Your body, the book that says your body keeps the score. Your body, these things are lived experiences in your body. So before your mind can think, your body has already reacted. Your system says, let me reduce friction, so let me just keep quiet. You will say, your system says things like, oh, let me just keep the connection, let me explain so that this doesn't escalate. You start to find yourself, you're not able to stay with yes or no. You start to find yourself over explaining because you want to be able to feel safe. Your body wants to be able to feel safe. Your mind hasn't yet caught up with the fact that I'm now an adult. I need to know what I'm saying. I need to know what, my parenting should look like. I need to know what this part of my life should. I need to know what, creating boundaries look like. But no, there's something that also happens when you get into a space, and it's like a mirroring of what has happened to you as a child. You grew up, you cannot question, you can't ask why. You can't ask your parents why. You can't ask the adults in the house why. You can't disagree because disagreement has consequences. So your body just, next thing you know, you are managing conversations instead of standing in it. Instead of standing in, this is what I believe right now. I believe that this is how, I should train my children. This is how I should do this. But you start to manage the conversation. You start to explain yourself. So why I'm giving this particular topic is because during the holidays, that's when, family members come together. That's when friends come together. That's when, you've been by yourself, growing quietly in your own quiet corner. You've not really, maybe you haven't really been, going into gatherings, or even the gatherings you've been going to are very curated gatherings that, you want to go to. But during Christmas, everybody wants to meet up. Everybody wants family reunions, family gatherings. These things happen. And it is not a thinking problem. It's a presence problem under pressure. So your body just goes into that, that fight flight mode. You start to feel the pressure of, I just need to explain who I am. And why does the holiday make this worse? The holiday intensifies this for one reason. I think I've said that over and over again, but let me just say one more time. You're around people who remember an older version of you. They don't understand your journey. They don't understand where you are right now. They don't understand what's going on with you right now. So they all they remember is Timmy, or timid person, or timid whatever name, timid Dayo, timid someone. That's what they remember. So you are going around people who remember an older version of you, people who expect that accommodating version of you, that explaining version of you, that agreeable version of you, that quieter version of you. So when you show up differently, the system resists. You start to hear comments like, we don't do it that way, or we didn't parent you that way and you still turned out right. You start to hear comments like, are you sure this is the best? You start to hear comments that make you second guess what it is that you're doing. And then you hear things a lot. This one is a lot. You've changed. What does you've changed mean? People are meant to grow. People are meant to outgrow whatever it was they were as children, whatever it was they were as younger adults, whatever it was they are even 10 years ago. You're permitted to grow even from what you were yesterday. There's always a better version. There's always a refined version of you. And it's expected that you should grow, but people don't like to extend grace. They say you have changed, and usually it's not in a very positive way. You've changed because you're now learning boundaries, you're now learning language, you're now, you're now your own person. So you've changed. And it's because familiarity carries weight. Your nervous system hesitates. You don't shrink because you're unsure. You shrink because you're still practicing being new in old rooms. So when you meet people who have known you before, it's not that you don't understand who you are, but that practice hasn't yet settled. That practice of, I've changed and I'm okay with who I am right now. I am different. That practice of, I have outgrown, whatever it was that you knew of me even this year. You are practicing being new in old rooms. You're practicing being new with old friends. You're practicing being new with people who have known you for life. They don't understand this new you, so they question it. Now let's get very practical. The thing is, insight alone won't help you in that moment. So you have come to that spot of, self-awareness. You've come to that. We've talked so much about self-awareness in our Friday lives. You've come to that, point of self-awareness. But here are 3 things that you will need to practice. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you need to be deliberate about how you practice it. Stop trying to win understanding. When you enter into a space and people don't understand the new you, don't try and win understanding. Don't try and over-explain what it is that you're doing now or who it is that you're becoming. When you're trying to win understanding, you're already losing that battle. You don't need agreement to stay present. The moment you start explaining, you have handed your authority away. See, people will meet you where you are. When you stay consistent in your growth, when you stay consistent in what it is that you're becoming, when you stay consistent in practicing the confident woman that you are becoming, when you stay consistent in moving into, higher and more refined versions of yourself, people will meet you where you are. People who don't want to meet you, it's okay, they can stay where they are, but people will meet you. But the thing about it is that we need to be consistent enough. They haven't seen us consistent enough in this new phase, in this new version, for them to say, okay, oh, this is not a joke. She's actually, she's actually growing. People would meet you where you are. So you don't need to try and win understanding. Understanding will meet you. You don't win it. You don't beg for it. You don't come into a space and say, please just understand me. It's okay, people do not understand you. The second thing you need to do is use short, complete sentences or statements. Instead of I just feel like, or because, or also, just say simple things like, this works for us. So somebody questions why you're parenting the way you do, for instance. It works for us. This works for us as a couple. This works for us as a mom. This works for me as a mom. Don't over explain. Short, complete statements are very they are complete. Even no is a complete statement. I say things like, I'm comfortable with this decision and I've thought it through. And this is, this is my decision. I've thought this through. And then stop. You don't need to over explain again. Silence is not failure. Silence is containment. Silence is this is the no that I want to say. I don't need to explain it, and I'm going to stop here. Is I am confident and I'm sure of what I want. Sometimes people come around you to rattle you, and it's just to test whether this is just some of those, whether you're just, joking, or you're just joking, or you're serious. So they come around, they rattle you, and a lot of the times it's even good, because how then do you know that you've grown, right? So they come and they want to know whether this is just one passing phase. That's the word. They want to know if it's the passing phase or this is just the real you. So short answers help you. Silence is containment. Silence is, I'm confident with who I am. I'm confident with what I am, and I don't need to explain myself. The next thing you should do, the third thing that you should do, is you should let discomfort exist. The urge to explain is the urge to escape from discomfort. So sometimes it's because we don't want people to mislabel us. Be comfortable with mislabeling, be comfortable with discomfort, because when you're not comfortable with discomfort, you will find out that every single time you're changing your mind, you're changing, you can, like a chameleon, right? Whenever you go into a space, you try and behave like how they are in that space. Whenever you go to another space, you try and behave like how they are in the other space. But no, what you want to do is to be comfortable. Be comfortable with discomfort. Nothing grows in the comfort zone, as we all know. Be comfortable with discomfort. Be comfortable with people not understanding your journey, and that's okay, because your journey is yours for you to own. When you change and you keep changing and you keep changing and nothing really settles for you, it's for you. It's really, really yours to carry. So the urge to explain is the urge to escape from discomfort. So what you should be doing is, you need to stay, you need to breathe, and you just need to let the moments pass. Some of these conversations and some of these snide comments that happen in gatherings, it doesn't, so people don't even take you home. It's just there and there. And let the comments pass. Let it slide over, let it pass over your head. And that's okay. You don't need to explain anything. Authority grows when you don't rush to relieve tension. Authority doesn't grow, doesn't authority grows, sorry, when you don't rush to relieve tension. But here's the thing. You don't lose your voice because you don't know who you are. So all that I've explained now is, just that momentary losing your voice because you have entered into old rooms and old spaces. But the thing about it is that you don't lose your voice just because you don't know who you are. You lose your voice because you haven't practiced staying with yourself. You haven't practiced staying with yourself while being seen. So that's why you lose your voice. Practicing takes repetition. Practicing takes reflection. Being who you are takes support. Becoming that version of yourself that you're like, oh, okay, I'm powerful. I know what I want. I'm designing the life, I'm ahead of, I'm designing the life that I want. I'm no longer shrinking. I'm no longer invisible. I'm no longer, submitting to patterns that never served me. It takes a lot of practice. Practice is repetition, is reflection, is support. It's support. And it's not, you can't do this in isolation. So what happens is, when you go into isolation, you're not receiving the support that you need for this type of life that you are desiring. And if you recognize yourself in these moments, there's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're simply at a stage of growth that requires more awareness, more embodiment, more practice. And it requires practice. It requires a space where you're not alone. It requires a space where you're not judged. It requires a space where you're not rushing to perform. It requires that container where your growth is guided, your growth is stretched, but it's guided with love and with empathy, even with other people who are going through the same thing with you. So you're not losing your voice because you're not sure of yourself or you lack awareness or this and that. You just need that container where you can practice, practice, and practice. And that's why this afternoon, before I round off, I've got 4 minutes more. I'm going to be talking to you about our Becoming Her program, and it's the cohort 3, starting on the 12th of January. Starting on the 12th of January. If you felt, uncomfortable, in moments like I have mentioned, if you felt destabilized, if you felt, feeling like you've over explained yourself, feeling like you've lost confidence because you've entered a room and that room reminds you of, childhood patterns and all that. If you felt that way before, and if you felt your voice wobble, if you've walked away from conversations wishing that, oh, I wish I was more steadier than I presented, if you felt that way, your issue is no longer awareness. It's because you are meeting these moments alone. And that's why I will talk. That's the reason I will talk to you about, the Becoming Her program. And it's not a course that you watch. It's not a motivation. It's not information. It's a cohort where is a space where women practice staying rooted while life is still happening. So you have access to me. Life can be happening to you and you're texting me and then you're getting responses because it's a supported space. It's a supported space where women are learning or are learning to find their voice. They are learning to, stabilize. It's not just about, when you go out. We are practicing it here. We're doing it together. We're doing life together. And it's from someone who has been through, all this process and has come out on the other side and, has found her voice, has found her voice, has found her feet. So if you're here this afternoon and, you want to join, our third cohort of the Becoming Her program, I've put the link in the comment section. I will do that. It's on my screen right now. Just click on the link, but you don't have to rush to make a decision. You don't have to rush to make a decision. Think about it. Think about all the ways where you would have felt supported, or you would have felt steadier, or you'd have even felt more confident. And think about the support that you will receive, because confidence requires practice. It requires support. You can't do this in isolation. So join us on our Becoming Her program and message me. That's the program. The link is on bio. You can message me at any time and let's talk about it. I would also, for everyone who is going to sign up today, you're entitled to a 30-minute free discovery session with me, and let's talk through your journey. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday night. I promise to keep it for 30 minutes, and this is 30 minutes already. And thank you so much. I don't take your time for granted. And by the time we are meeting next week, it will be a new year. It will be 2027. Don't make 2027 be another year where you drift through life. Join us in our Becoming Her program. You'll get clarity, you will get support, and it's something that will help you as you build your confidence and as you practice being that woman that you desire to be. Thank you, and do have an amazing day.